Nestled amongst the Eyre Peninsula coastline is Port Lincoln, the seafood capital of Australia. With a history so intertwined with the maritime industry, locals claim salt water runs through their veins. Oysters, prawns and kingfish are just some of the region's delicacies, but by far the most famous export is bluefin tuna.
When I first came here, Port Lincoln was a little hick town, and a couple of pubs, or 3 pubs or something like that, and there was nothing here. And then we found the tuna, and it became slowly bigger and bigger and bigger. And one stage we had close to 25,000 tonnes.
Port Lincoln fisheries produce 95% of Australia's tuna, pulling in 9,000 tonnes annually with an estimated value of $300 million.
People became nervous that it might be depleting the tuna resources. And then we came up with the idea to go tuna farming. And that was the big breakthrough. We anchored in big cages and then we feed them. Sometimes 50 tonnes a day.
Once caught, the tuna is snap frozen and then shipped across the globe. It's produce served by the top sashimi restaurants of Japan.
The Japanese really love their tuna and sashimi. They're paying big prices for it.
Tuna may be the star of the show, but hidden 45 kilometres west of Port Lincoln is Coffin Bay. It may only be home to 600 people and a scattering of shops, but oysters have put this little town on the map.
So many things make Coffin Bay oysters so good, but I guess the number one thing, undeniably, would be the water quality here. The water is just absolutely crystal clear. The water would be number one. If you've got good, clean water, you're going to go grow a good product.
Over 200 million oysters are grown in Coffin Bay each year.
Most of the time the oysters are in one of these nets?
They are in one of these bags here. This is called a BST bag, named after the 3 oyster farmers that invented it. We put about 5 dozen into one of these once they get up to this saleable size, like we've got here now.
Experienced Coffin Bay tours allow visitors to see what the job of an oyster farmer entails.
We had this idea to do some shed tours to show people how we oyster farm, which was really cool, and we enjoyed doing that. And then we had people just slowly start to ask us, hey, could we come out to the farm and have a look around? We'd love to see that as well.
And when they say you get the full experience, they're not kidding. All guests jump straight into the water to get up and close with the oysters. But then it's time for the best part, tasting the local produce. And it doesn't get any fresher than this.
So what you want to do is get the knife in the corner, dig it into the shell, till it pops open, peel the top back,
Lose some of the juice.
and then you cut the muscle off, and then to present it, flip him over, and there we go.
And she's ready to go. Well, I think we should try one. Is that one ready to go for you?
Yeah.
Amazing. Right, let's knock one back. There you go. Perfect. Doesn't get any better, does it?
No.
Thank you, Monique van der Hey. Apologies for not doing a proper introduction. Is our reporter who will be here in Port Lincoln. Thank you very much. And joining us right now, Rowan Ramsey is the federal member for Grey, and Diana Mosloff, who is the local mayor here. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. All right, now, before we get to anything else, I was told there was tuna tossing in this part of Australia. What's going on? Why has it been cancelled? Who do I need to yell at? What's going on?
Don't have to yell at anyone.
Good. What's going on with tuna tossing?
What's going on? Tuna tossing, fantastic, unique event here in Port Lincoln with Tunarama, but fatigue has set in. So we've had the Tunarama Festival for 60 years and fatigue has set in, and the City Council has procured the intellectual property.
So you got this?
We've got this.
So whenever you want to, you can bring it back?
We can.
Do you want tuna tossing? Yeah. Bring it back, please. Next year I'll be here. I know it costs a bit of money, but
Not
still.
2024, maybe 2025.
Maybe 2025. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I was still around. I'll still have access to a camera. Anyway,
Come back.
Good to hear. All right, I love seeing that footage. It was just an excuse for us to play it. All right, now, Rowan, when we were flying in, the agricultural landscape is amazing. Like huge plots of land, but you could see how dry it was. So as frustrating the weather has been for us not being able to go and muck around with sharks and all that, it's been good for the agriculture here. Tell people about what they may not associate with Port Lincoln, this sort of area, when it comes to agriculture.
Well, Eyre Peninsula is a huge part of South Australia, the agricultural region, and pretty much a lot of the produce, at least, finds its way to Port Lincoln. There's a bit of competition up the road at Cowell at the moment, at Teaport, and that's a good thing. Pretty much the harvest is off on EP, and so big rains like this now, and I just mentioned I had 75 mil on my farm before I tracked the 240 k's down to Port Lincoln today. Before I left it was still raining. It's money in the bank. It'll be water in the profile for next year, so it'll cause some issues around grape crops and things like that, but the predominant on EP is that wheat, barley, peas type crop, yeah.
Diana, how do you fight for this area whenever you get down to Adelaide? You talk to the Premier, you're trying to compete with other council areas. I mean, just again, you've been here for a couple of days, you understand why it's awesome, you understand why when it was intrastate tourism it was particularly good, but we want the word to get out. Obviously, I know some people, like my dear friend Corey Bernardi says, don't tell anyone about Coffin Bay. You've got to see Coffin Bay, all right? But tell me about Port Lincoln. How do you fight for it? How do you do it different than other mayors?
Well, I think I'll just try and get to the table. Tuesday I'll be meeting with the Minister for Tourism, so it's just about presenting over and over again. Some of that I do as the Mayor, and some of it I do on my own personal back, to just try and keep Port Lincoln present all the time. And, you know, I'm persistent. I do write letters, I do, you know, advocate, try and bring a point of difference where I can to engage. So it's important to just front up.
So what are the major projects at the moment that you'd either like the area to get or you're in the middle of getting in at the moment? Because as I said, it's a beautiful area, but every area needs that little bit extra. So what's your plan?
Okay, so water security is a big issue. I won't go there though. We'll go with rail because we really need to revive the rail on the Eyre Peninsula, particularly for our grain industry, of course, and our exports. So rail's a big topic. We did have the Prime Minister here in Port Lincoln and advocated again, took him to Viterra, showed him our grain industry.
Don't tell him you've been on this
port.
show. If you want anything, don't tell him you've been on this show.
No, you know what? That's another thing. I advocate whatever side of politics
As
we're
you
talking
should.
about.
That's what we
So
like.
we're about outcomes here and the best I can do for Port Lincoln.
Good stuff. Rowan, last one here. What does this area need? What do you need to fight for?
Well, I can tell you what this area has got, Port Lincoln. It is the most dynamic centre in my electorate. There are over 1,500 small businesses in Port Lincoln. There's around about 15,000 people, so you can do the maths on that, Paul. And it's got a real entrepreneurial spirit where people are prepared to have a go. I'm never surprised at things that come out of Port Lincoln. And communities that actually have a bit of drive and gumption of their own, they're so much easier to work with. Now, that's not degrading any of my others. There are unique opportunities here. The tuna industry would have never been developed without that entrepreneurial spirit and having a go and refining the system to the best in the world. Now, we do that across a range of things. So Port Lincoln has the opportunity to keep building on that. Every now and then they need a little bit of grease in the wheel, but by and large, they're pretty self-motivated.
Good stuff. Give it up for your local representatives. They're there fighting for all the time. Thank you very much. I come in hot, but I appreciate it. Thank you too,